And let's bring you some more detail on that highly anticipated report. As I mentioned, its final findings just released. Angie, you've been looking through them.
You know what? Something that we've been waiting for, and this is a detailed report, about 300 pages, 17 recommendations in all here. But I want to go through some of the findings, some of the key findings here about this. And you talked about the integrity of the hull. This was a company that was in financial loss, so a great deal of intimidation tactics, we understand, were used as well. We heard from a number of employees. That's included in the report. But the inadequate design certification, the maintenance of this vessel, high up on the findings here. The failure to properly investigate and address hull anomalies following the 2022 Titan expedition, that banging that they were hearing, and anyone that may have watched the documentary, they described that. So that banging that they were hearing was from the vessel. We're talking about the integrity of the vessel, Heather. So this vessel was made with carbon fiber. It is a cheaper material, but to describe the carbon fiber, essentially you're looking at, if I could describe to it as a number of hairs, line after line after line of hairs, thousands of them. And the further they get, this vessel would go deeper into the water, those hairs would become weaker, and then they would start to pull apart. So, Heather, that's the banging that they were hearing.
Really?
The integrity of the hull was weakening the further you go down. Now, let's not forget, there were 13 expeditions, successful expeditions that took place, but every time they went down, they continued to weaken the integrity of that hull. And as a result, that banging. On the 80th expedition, my understanding is, and this is the one before the fatal incident, they heard a lot of that banging. The CEO, Stockton Rush, was saying that the sub was actually shifting, you know, how you sort of I guess, in terms of shifting its frame, settling in. Well, when we looked at the sensors, because they had sensors on the hull, it in fact was revealing that the hull itself was sort of essentially coming apart. And then, of course, with that expedition that happened in 2023, we saw what the final result of that was. So that was pretty key to all of this. They also found out that customer expectations were put front and center above everything. And that was something that we saw that was a hard push there. They did not take any action related to that data that we talked about to ensure the integrity, preventative maintenance. And we have to remember that before that 2023 expedition, this vessel was stored in Newfoundland at the Marine Institute in St. John's. The temperatures at that time were freezing. Enough proper protection wasn't put in place to protect the hull, and then proper maintenance wasn't put in place in order to ensure that the hull was going to be safe when it ended up going for that final expedition. So a number of recommendations have put in place as well. I'll quickly go through them in terms of restricting, of course, the design, having them, there needs to be a lot of maintenance, federal and international requirements on all submersibles, the Coast Guard documentation for all U.S. submersibles involving the Coast Guard and the Marine in terms of what the design is going to be, what the path is going to be, so that they are all involved in all of that information, emergency response plans as well. The International Maritime Organization wanted to define passenger submersibles and expand international safety requirements, as well as, and this is really key, there was a whistleblower that was involved in all of this. No protections for that individual. That needs to change as well and needs to be implemented, Heather.
So when you look at this list of failings, design, certification, maintenance, inspection, failings in all of those areas, leading to the conclusion that these deaths were preventable.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's excruciating for the family of the 5 who were killed. Have we heard anything from them at all?
Well, you know, and the word preventable really, really sticks, because this was something that was so exciting that they were going to do. They were going to go see the Titanic. It was incredible. And of course, in these, 4 lives, and then the loss of the CEO as well, which of course they have found that he would have been considered to be criminally responsible for all of this. The family of Shahzada and Solomon Dawood, the father and son that were on board the submersible, they did release a statement saying that they're calling for tougher regulation and oversight in light of the report. They're hoping that it will bring a turning point in terms of what it's going to mean for the future of these types of vessels and the protection, of course, of any passengers that will be on board anything like this. But it is going to be quite a long time before something like this has ever happened.
As you say, more than 300 pages. There's lots to go through. You'll be looking more into the findings and the recommendations, but thank you for the breaking news. Angie Seth, and of course, CBC has done such extensive work on this on Fifth Estate and other reporting, so you'll want to perhaps revisit that as we look to the findings from the Coast Guard report today.